welcome back to the racialinvestor.com's Daily Brief. Now listen on the Daily Brief. This is the Chicken Show. Bark, 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 bark. Where's Cotter? We should get like a live soundbite from Cotter's farm. I think he actually even had a picture of these chickens in his backyard. He shared in the lounge. Anyway, I always like poking fun at Cotter and his crazy chickens. There's his chickens. So that's a man with a plan. He's actually got these chickens working. Anyway, bark, 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 bark. Wow, look at that safe. Holy Jesus. Actually, you know what's funny is there's one auction site that I'm really interested in. It's called Seven Hills Auction. It's down in the southeast United States. And there's a bank. Actually, there's about 3 or 4 bank branches that are up on the auction block. Seized, I guess the bank failed or something along those lines. And they got some of the coolest safes and stuff. Like there's and only $100,000. I saw this one bank we could buy at auction, $100,000, 43,000 square feet. I mean, what the hell, man? We could create one hell of a TRI campus with 43,000 square feet to work with, and the most killer safe you've ever seen. Anyway, super cool. Anyway, so welcome back to the frivolity. Not sure how I got off on that tangent, but anyway, welcome back to to our weekly show. Did we actually get word from the level oneers? How's class been going? I'm not even quite sure. Grim and I were supposed to touch base yesterday, but I guess we're like 2 ships passing in the night.
Yeah, Grim noted and Sharky did as well that class is finished.
Okay, so hope you guys are feeling optimistic, positive about your learning experience. There you go. Sean says finished just a bit ago. Excellent. Good to hear. It's probably a pretty damn steep learning curve for you guys. And I do know that last week, one gentleman kind of dominated all the questions, and my apologies. I did see comments. People go, "Hey, it's not fair, man. You're just answering this one guy's questions." But we did, in the Monday and Tuesday shows on the site, we did address the other questions. And there's some really good conversations. I mean, unfortunately, we're in the part of the cycle right now, whether it be long-term cycles, whether it be short-term cycles, this is where, the, what do they say, caught between a rock and a hard place. I mean, this is the toughest part. And I suppose every sort of century there has to be one of these windows where things are extremely challenging. And somebody had asked, or on the site somebody had asked, are we in a stage where you find that governments themselves, and I won't specifically talk about the specific government this person was referring to, but governments themselves might actually come out and do things like say, it is illegal if you are a citizen of this country to own this particular asset or to own those particular assets. Spent a lot of time probably over the past, maybe 3 or 4 years. It's just been going on and on and on about this whole darn great reset garbage that's being rammed down our throat. And actually, it was really cool. I had this funny rant about the fact that the U.S. Federal Reserve chairman disclosed his annual salary. And if you actually did the math and walk through the math, he's too poor to be able to afford a monthly mortgage for a house in Canada's biggest city. So this is exactly, and it's a cool short, actually. I got a lot of feedback. People have really liked it. There was even comments like, speak the truth, my friend. But anyway, So that's it's good that the message is getting out, but it's exactly what this goddamn Klaus motherfucker has been saying all along here. And of course, that totally ruins the monetization of this video. And now Google's not going to say it, but it drives you to swearing. It really does, because it's so blatant, right? I mean, his message was, you will not be able to afford to buy anything, and the only people that are going to be able to afford to buy and own anything are either the 1% oligarch, sort of the I don't even know what the hell you call them, aristocracy. I suppose we're going back to that world, or governments in the form of some sort of communist, twisted, centralized, controlled state. You will own nothing and be happy. And if you are not happy, then there's the train to the concentration camp. You have a choice. See, you do have a choice after all. I mean, it's, yeah, geez, drives it crazy. Yeah, I know, but it's to the point now. Somebody even in the lounge here says, "Happy Super Bowl Sunday." It's to the point where you can't even really enjoy the Super Bowl anymore. You can't enjoy social events because, the problem is it's just this world is just being turned on its head right now. It was interesting through the weekend. Of course, everybody on this site is posting memes about UFOs, and they said they shut down the airspace over a certain area of northern United States, southern Canada, because of some, I don't know, threat to civilian aviation or some nonsense. So, if anything, it probably would be good that if the damn aliens would just come and just get it over with, at least we can move on from this Klaus's communist substitute drama teachers who literally live off their family trust funds, and have absolutely no sort of connection with actual economic reality for the rest of us. If we could move away from this conversation, or even maybe let's get this. I wouldn't even be surprised if the aliens are actually stepping up because they see how close we are to starting a nuclear war here. And one wrong slip, there is actually documented history of alien aircraft coming into things like the American missile bases and shutting down missile systems as they were going into launch mode. And in the United Kingdom, there's documented history of alien base or alien aircraft coming in and disabling UK nuclear facilities. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do step up their efforts, because the sad thing is the way this Vladdy guy's going is there really is no alternative for him now. It's going to turn into an absolute meat grinder in Eastern Europe if it already isn't. I mean, literally, probably about 300,000 human beings' lives have been lost here because of Vladdy and his fucking arrogance. What's the difference of throwing up a few nuclear weapons and killing a few hundred more thousand people? And then, unfortunately, the whole damn thing spirals out of control and we all die. Woohoo, party! So, anyways, interesting. I went through my life, because I actually grew up in the South Bay area. Well, part of my childhood. Grew up in the South Bay, and we lived that sort of duck and cover kind of life. And we, at any given point in time, we were fully expecting a nuclear war. And following the collapse of the Soviet Union, there was this scientific community that created the doomsday clock. I don't know if you've ever seen that. And following the collapse of the Soviet Union, they actually turned the clock back. They said, you know what, we're actually a little bit less closer to nuclear Armageddon. Now I'm noticing recently that actually they're starting to move the clock forward again, getting closer to midnight, and midnight is basically Armageddon. So, is it interesting? Chicken versus the egg. What comes first? Are the aliens here because of the silly humans are about to blow up their world, and they want to intervene and slow us down, maybe prevent us from doing something really stupid. Um, or maybe they're just all Chinese balloons. Who knows? Anyway, screwy world we're living in. I'll tell you that much, by crackers. I would say that if you can keep a level head, in this kind of world, it's either one or the other, right? If we go down the nuclear Armageddon route, then the good thing is if you do have your bitcoins on like a ledger or something like that, you might become like an instant aristocrat, because like literally all of the world's financial systems and everything will just collapse, and you just sit there and have to barter through bitcoins. Bitcoin might be the only sort of surviving currency other than maybe like physical gold or silver or something. So there's always that scenario. So if anything, us crypto enthusiasts, just make darn sure you got your ledgers and all that kind of crap up and running, and you got a nice big whack of Bitcoin, or I don't know how Ethereum does through something like that, because obviously the world's computers are going to be really stressed for a while. But definitely something like Bitcoin, I think it was built to sort of service this collapse of the fiat currency system world. If it's business as usual, then hey, there you go. Cotter's showing what happens when his chickens piss him off. He goes, chickens, you want to see a picture of what happens if you don't cooperate? Oh, wait a minute, that's the humans. Oh, goodness. Anyway. But if we keep a level head, and hopefully the aliens come along and disarm any nuclear weapons or anything that are about to go off. Because I just said this a moment ago, there is actual documented history of extraterrestrial beings coming in and dismantling these things, just as about the humans are about to blow themselves up. So it wouldn't surprise me if that happened again. Of course, that we would never know in real time. Anyway, that's here nor there. If we can somehow just keep a level head and keep our our society going here. I think the way that the 1% have set this up, and of course the Rothschilds took over the whole sort of financial system around the world in 1913. So they've had over a century here of running the show. I think that also helps Bitcoin. I think it helps Bitcoin immensely. And I do honestly believe that the number one, Bitcoin was built specifically for the purpose of trying to hedge the collapse of the fiat currency system. But also too, the way that it's constructed, where it has these halving events every 4 years, and of course if you study monetary policy, the money cycle, oh gee whiz, it's just about exactly 4 years in duration. And now this is my, I guess, this will be my 3.5, because I came in about halfway through the 2008 to 2012 cycle. I remember I first learned about Bitcoin, I guess, around 2011 or so. I didn't really get really seriously involved in the space until about 2013, 2014. But this would be the third sort of go round in these 4-year cycles, like fully on. First cycle, just as an experiment, I took $500, turned it into $500,000 or so. And there's no reason why all of you can't do exactly the same. In fact, what's really cool, the second cycle, I sat on the sidelines. I mean, I did my banging out doubles, having fun, just doing my thing, but not as serious as the first cycle. And the second cycle was more about the building out of DeFi, and guys like Sjord took a few $1,000 and turned it into millions of dollars and things like Luna. But then you saw what happened to Luda, eh? Uh-oh. If anything, this last cycle should have been a really, really good lesson for all of you, that you have to make sure to pay yourself in this game. This is all venture capital. And when those 4-year cycles turn down and we have to go through a sort of a reset of the monetary policy, don't fight the Fed. You've probably heard that expression out of me before. You better have at least made some money and banked that profit. And one guy on the site, he loves gold, and he's just I'll just keep taking profits and pile my money into gold. And if it's awfully uncomfortable to sleep on, but I love sleeping on a big pile of gold. Nothing wrong with that at all. But just blindly having faith that these venture capital ideas will just continue on endlessly it's financial stupidity. Because what you have to understand with venture capital, and if you look at small cap market performance, you can see it. It's as plain as day. On the way up, small cap, venture cap dramatically outperforms to the upside. On the way down, venture cap, small cap dramatically performs to the downside. And this is the whole premise of the efficient frontier. And I think actually level oneers should be, and I never know how to spell this stuff correctly. There's guys actually won a Nobel Prize in economics and it's not even really that. They won the Nobel Prize in economics for just simply pointing out, don't hold all your eggs in one basket. Well, that's a big surprise. But in bull market, small cap outperforms. In bear market, small cap underperforms. So in the bull market, you'd like to have a little bit of that exposure so that your portfolio also outperforms relative to the big benchmarks. And in bear markets, you'd ideally like to lighten up. The sad part about it, of course, is right at the very end of the bull market. That's where the public is like, hey, it's every damn cycle. It's exactly the same. People call up, family members. Hey, should I buy some Bitcoins right now? And it's so cool because, like, literally on the site, we'll have people come into the lounge and say, "Oh, I know a top's near. Uncle Bob just called and asked whether he should be buying some Bitcoins." And it's like, and actually what's interesting is I have an uncle, Uncle Bill, and he did exactly the same thing this last cycle, got all excited at the very top of the market. And I had to basically tell him, look, it's not that easy. You're coming late. You're slow down. And my hunch is they ignored me and they went and bought. And now I don't hear from them because obviously they got destroyed. So anyway, it's the way it goes. If anything, I've done up an article here on this whole premise, and we have this is one of our OGs on the site now, Eddie. He's sort of quarterbacking this group, but we were thinking about buying a campus, and then we thought, well, the price, it's sort of there, but it's not quite there. But why don't we all take like 5-10 grand, go and do another little old lady sort of cycle. And then at the end of that, we'll have tons of money to throw at French Lady to buy her place or whatever place we decide to look at. So we sort of, as a group, you can see Zugi. I keep mentioning Zugi in public broadcast. He's just an absolute boss. He gave me this FXS idea, and I think FPSIS is it. There's our chief pancake eater. So you can see he's already got his list building out, and I love these names. They're all awesome. That RNDR just keeps rocking it. I'd be careful though. I did hear somebody say they stepped in the other day and were buying some of these names up top, and I'm like, oh Jesus, go slowly. You look at the You look at that RNDR. There's no way I could buy that here. I mean, yeah, I know you guys want to make money and all that kind of fun stuff, but oh boy, that's gives me vertigo coming in and buying there. You see where the damn weekly W's are, right? They're down here. So coming in up top here is kind of asking for trouble. I don't mind working bids, right? You can see I got a bid working. Right there, as plain as day. I have bids working, and I'll be more than happy to buy, but I can't buy up here. Anyway, so the point being that I put together this document because I really believe that we are now entering in the next sort of cycle, right? As Eddie's pointed out here, LOL cycle number 4. So here we are. I've put out tons of these kind of tweets and messages. Of course, every time I do these videos, it's almost impossible for me to find these damn charts when I'm doing it. And I always sit here going, oh, geez, where is this? Oh, I can't find the damn chart. Oh, geez. Anyway, so we'll try again. Here we go. I always want to do this one, but I know that's not the right one. See, I wonder what the hell that is. Darn it. Actually, Bitcoin studies, maybe. Oh, look at all these ones. Hey, look at all this fun stuff. I think maybe it's like one of this one. Let's try that one. Is that it? Please, 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 please. Yes, it is. Perfect. Woo, I got it. It's a miracle. All right, so here we are. And I put out tons of these kind of tweets, like, do you have your shit together? Are you ready to go? Now is the time to get your act together. 2023 should be the basing year. And I think that this year is going to look a lot like the 12-16 cycle base. But nonetheless, I don't think there's a heck of a lot of new going on here. I think this is actually just, kind of business as usual. I would be cautious. I don't think it's a good idea for you just to think, straight up, go all in. That's just asking for trouble anyway. But I think we are setting the base for our next big cycle. And I think the cycle goes on actually into December 2025. It's another really cool chart. Of course, can I find the chart without derailing us here? What just happened there? Let's try that again. And I think this is the one that I want. Nope, not that one. I mean, this is, and if anything, we are now in this sort of. Actually, it's interesting. We just briefly got into the window where the public had just completely given up. Now we're back into well, if this stuff is legit, then all right. But I would personally prefer to be a buyer down in this window. So you can see things have kind of jumped up here recently. I'm a little concerned that maybe we did a little too far too fast here. But the image I wanted to show you guys was man, I always do this. It's a bit frustrating. Or it might be is in macro. Darn. I always lose this stuff. Well, can't remember. I think this is actually what I want to show you. Yeah, there it is. So, all you level oneers, where are you in this crazy ass cycle? Keep in mind this is where the Fed took over the system. And so basically their job is to completely dilute the crop. It says sound quality is poor. Really? Chris, does it sound crappy? I don't know whether I think I have the right microphone on. Can you hear me, Chris? Oh. I mean, I am far away from the microphone. Is that better? But then if I do that, then the camera gets all screwed up. You can't win. It's either one or the other. I know a lot of these YouTubers, they've got like the microphone on like a thing and it just sits in front of their voices and their faces and they talk like this. This is one of these funny snowball ones. So it just sits on my desk. My apology. All right. So somebody says sound is okay. Keep in mind, I'm not really the best. I'm not the best. What's the word? I don't know. Presenter. I'm more. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, let's move on. Okay. So, here is your fear greed cycle. We are in this current greed cycle. We're just marching away. So how does that look like if you zoom in on the actual cycle itself, there is that cycle. And, we're going through this 22, 23 Benner trough. And it is interesting to see, here is the stock market, the candles. This is the greatest generation, the George Bush Sr., the people who fought in the Second World War, their generational cycle. And here is the baby boomers. And it sure looks to me, keep in mind, the baby boomers, I teach you guys this, of course, in the level 1 program. The baby boomers were very much deficit world, hyperinflate the currency, blah, blah, blah. And then we also had a really, really cool presentation from Effie recently on the inflationary cycles, and just absolutely spot on, right on course with sort of destruction of our currency basis to keep Klaus and all them happy. But point here is, if we look at the various different crypto cycles, what should we expect going forward? Look at the stock market cycles, what should we expect going forward? I actually really do like this sort of hyperinflationary kind of bubble. Unfortunately, I think it has to carry on until probably 2027, somewhere in there, 2027, 2028. I think maybe I can show you this. I mean, it was a really, really cool study. Not even mine. And that's one thing I really like about TRI is we're all about 1 + 1 = 3. So we all kind of work together. And I love to get site members participating in the presentations and showing us their work and their interpretation of what they see going on. It just makes for a better community. Don't know what I did. Where the hell did I put your chart, Effie? So you know where? Probably the easiest way to find it is to go through here. Just go through Trading View. So I know I gave it a name. There it is. 19 Effie Sentiment. This is super cool. This is a kind of image that once you see this, you can't unsee this. And if the public ever did see this image, they'd go, holy shit, I can't believe how fucking crooked all of this is. So, here are your great resets. This was a great reset. Here is the US Federal Reserve and coming into existence, and the way they totally screwed up our society and then set the stage for the roaring 20s and then the Great Depression. But here is basically the Great Reset that I think we're going to go through now. This would be the similar, because I think that like every 80 years, the Rothschilds and all that, they understand the way the money system works. I mean, you see these silly deficits. I mean, they're talking about things like, can you actually imagine what $1 trillion actually looks like? I mean, come on. I mean, the numbers are just so ridiculous that at some point, like in the stock market, the way we used to play the game is they would just basically roll a stock back, 100 for one. And anybody that's been on the site trading penny stocks with me over the past few years have seen plenty of rollbacks. So you guys know how this game works. It's interesting how we don't see the rollback as much in the crypto space. I have seen a few instances where names have gone and rolled back the number of coins that I have outstanding. But anyway, so, you could argue that Klaus and his Great Reset is exactly the same logic. It's just instead of rolling the currency back and, we'll stick with something being $10 and it having value, they're just keep inflating it. So, a good that basically cost you $1 here, well, here it's going to cost you $10. And for the rest of this period, that good now cost you $10. Then we go through the next Great Reset, basically every 40 years. And this is the money cycle, like the whole thing from beginning to end is 80 years. But basically every 40 years, they go through one of these sort of inflationary things. And now, remember we said the good was $1 here, then it goes to $10. So in this world, it stays at $10. And then in this world, it goes from $10 to $100. And now we are in, since 1980, we are in this world where that good was $100. So now, gee whiz, here we go again. Now that good is going to go from $100 to $1,000, jerks. So it's stunningly cliche the way they hyperinflate our society. Also, too, and this is what's super important for all of you, is notice how assets behave when we go through these great resets and how things like gold behaves. I have a sneaky suspicion, and I put research articles out regarding it, that gold actually is going to do quite well here in through the latter part of the 2020s, very much like I did a study on Newmont mining. And I think actually I just put a tweet out, so maybe we can just show you the tweet, keep it simple. We don't get lost in chart hell. Mind you, it might have been a while ago. Maybe we'll just go at CR Investor and NEM. Yeah. See, here's Newmont in the 1980s. I mean, look what it did. Holy for holies. And you can see that the chart pattern is actually very similar. So I think that, ironic enough, guys like Peter Schiff are finally going to get sort of vindicated. But what the heck do you think is going to happen to Bitcoin through this insanity? As our image suggests, I mean, I don't know if we get up to these crazy ass numbers, but we're coming up on halvening events. Once we get through this 2023 and into halvening event conversations and stuff, then the insanity starts. And once the insanity starts, you probably missed your really good sort of investment window in crypto. Right now, we're in sort of this part, you can see, and I think, like I said before, I think we're very much like this 12-16 kind of cycle. We could be in a cycle like we saw 16 to 20, where they just dead cat bounced Bitcoin right up to 61.8s, and then subsequently rolled it right over and basically took the market right back down to the original bottom. That could very easily be the case. I don't think so, though. It's just purely Brian's opinion when I say I don't think so. But, I mean, the market will do whatever the hell it's going to do. But I think we're in this window here where, and also, too, same thing with the stock market. If you play stocks, and hell, there's even crypto stocks that you can play, the whole darn thing. I think you got to get yourself all ready to go. Theoretically, Mr. Benner, and this lines up so perfectly with Mr. Benner. It's ridiculous because, I think think Josh actually has, mind you, I think he got rid of the pin tweet. It was so perfect. Yeah, see, it's gone now. What's so cool, and I love this, and this, if anything, we're in talks. We're gonna try and get the Coinigy shows going again. So you might see more charts and analysis off of the Coinigy platform. But Josh, our sort of marketing guru, the guy who's actually running this page, he's the one who put together that updated Benner cycle chart. And what's so cool, I love this, is when you just Google Benner cycle, Benner chart, the very first thing that pops up here, which made me immensely happy, of course, is the Rational Investors Benner cycle blog post. So way to go, Josh, you rock. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make here is hopefully you can see right down here, we are in this 22-23 troughing period. Which means that we should rally from 23 up into 26. It'll be a minor rally. It's not one of these generational rallies. These generational rallies are just insane. You saw the way that people just went kind of just stupid through that whole Amazon top, damn stock's $3,000 a share. And they were actually talking about, well, now we're going to buy fractional shares, and this is the way the world's going to work now. What a joke. Of course, they go and split the stock, and now it's back down to like 100, 150 bucks a share. What a surprise. Allen, and the way that crazy ass story went, I mean, total insanity. I don't mean to be rude. Of course, I don't really like Allen because he leans on his autism diagnosis to justify his behavior. And frankly, he doesn't have autism. I'll show you a boy with autism. Come and meet my son. Smearing shit all over the bathroom just for fun. That's real autism. But anyway, I really don't like the way that Allen basically suckers the public into buying his assets. And then he doesn't even think twice about just dumping all of his stock or cryptocurrencies on the public and just destroying them, and not even the blink of any kind of consciousness, sort of regret or anything as to how people who follow him blindly get destroyed. So this show isn't about him. What I'm just making reference to is the whole economy, the whole society, through the whole sort of sickness nonsense. It just, we went a little bit nuts there. You had the Barstool guys, right, and all that crap, right? People that were sort of quote unquote trading experts. And actually, there's a whole bunch of articles going on right now about all the kids who thought they were trading gurus are all now fucking working back at McDonald's again because they lost all the money. Tell you, it's really easy to make the money in a bull market. The people that actually you should listen to are the ones that can hold on to the money when the bear comes along. That's when life gets a bit challenging. Anyway, so the point here is that this is the bottom of this cycle. This is not the top of the cycle. This is the bottom. So isn't it interesting that basically in this kind of environment, if you went out into the public and you asked the public, well, should we be investing in the market? Should we be investing in speculative assets and stocks and cryptocurrencies and stuff like that? I think the unequivocal answer is no. And of course, they're wrong. They're just business as usual. So if you look at it from the Benner cycle perspective, 23 bottom, what are we supposed to be doing here? Let's see, years of hard times. What do you think? Are we in kind of challenging times right now? I'd say so. So really, that makes sense. Low prices. Interesting. We live in this hyperinflation world. You think that prices are high, but in reality, they're not. And I probably sound like a broken record when I say this over and 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 over. But I like to use the the crude oil example just as a really, really good illustration. What these banksters have done to us, there's not really much we can do about it. I mean, it's Klaus's wet dream, circle jerk, all that shit. But if you look at something like crude oil prices, if you just looked at crude oil, you'd go, well, $78 a barrel, Brian, that's pretty damn expensive. But then if you take into account all the money dilution, which is just basically theft out of your and ours pockets, and then we, look out over like a long period of time, you go, you mean oil prices right now are actually lower than they were through the original Gulf War? Really? I mean, that's how low oil prices are right now, folks. Don't kid yourself. So I've shown you repeatedly, this is what the stock market looks like when people sort of open up their newspaper. Oh, look, I'm rich. Look at the Dow's 33,000. But in reality, if you take out all the money dilution, what's fascinating is that this stock market actually topped out right at 9/11. Did anything happen 9/11? 2001? And this is where, of course, Brian's going to get thrown in jail for, oh, well, you're just a conspiracy theory and you're undermining the sanctity of our society and blah, 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 made up charges and all that kind of bullshit. But there is September 9/11. That's basically the break. And notice we're still below that level. Nothing's really changed in our society. This is not some sort of, bull market. So, go figure. So back to Mr. Benner. I don't know where I put, did I get rid of Mr. Benner? Oh, Mr. Benner, where'd you go, man? Oh, darn. Oh, well, thought I had Mr. Oh, there he is. Prices are low. Ironically enough, it's probably a good time to step in and buy stocks. Interestingly enough, and I like this thinking, like especially for your retirement funds and stuff like that. These communication services. I mean, you telling me that things like this Facebook and Zuckerberg and stuff like that are really going anywhere? I don't think so. If anything, he had an absolutely ridiculous face rip up here. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily just buy V bottoms, but my hunch is down the road, this son of a gun's going to be a hell of a lot higher. I don't really necessarily have like a long-term bottom there, but I do like the idea, especially for like retirement funds. And keep in mind, crypto would be very much along these lines, especially with things like what's that? What's the platform that I want to say Paris Hilton. What the hell's that? And I was Decentraland and all that bullshit, right? I mean, that's basically what these guys want to get into. But I like the communication services ETF XLC as a way to play this growth out of this particular part of the economy. And keep in mind, that's a monthly chart. When you see it, what letter of the alphabet is this? Let's see if I can get you YouTuber monkeys to jump. I mean, what letter of the alphabet is that? Anyone? Would your grade 3 English teacher like the look of that particular letter? Hey, the YouTubers are jumping. Yay. Hey, Sean jumped twice. Thank you. So you can see it. It's as plain as day. So, names like this, I'm more than happy to go and buy that in my registered account and just sit on that. And, 10, 20 years from now, when I get close to retirement, that to me looks like probably, this thing's going to be a hell of a lot higher. So I like investing in that kind of stuff right now, which of course is probably a bit out of favor, but this would be like, a conservative, mutual fund kind of thing. But these are all these ETFs. I think ETFs have basically put mutual funds out of business. So, back to Mr. Benner. prices are low, time to buy stock, corner lots. I mean, obviously, in the 19th century, primarily the way that people played sort of speculative was through real estate investing. So that's really that reference. And really, your job now is to hold, try and get yourself into these positions and then hold on to those positions until we get into the next cycle pivot. And oh, gee whiz, isn't that interesting? The next cycle, Benner cycle pivot 2026. So that's the whole premise behind this thesis. I believe the cycle has started, and unfortunately, this is going to be like 2018, where yes, and even really this past year, same sort of thing. The beginning of 2022, that was the time to sell crypto and all the DeFi and all that. And of course, the entire 2022 was an absolute train wreck as the price just fell, and then eventually you had things like SBF shit happen. So, are you ready? Have I made the case for you? Do you believe me? Do I give a shit whether you believe me or not? I don't think so. If anything, I'm going to put this document out, and really what I want to do is I want this to be sort of like a textbook explanation of what the hell is going on in our world, why is it happening, and how, this is all about the why. So things like, do you understand how, substitute drama teachers don't understand this, so I don't expect the public to really understand this. But do you understand that money printing by governments is basically theft of the nation's wealth? That's basically what this communist motherfucker is doing in my country. He is stealing the wealth of our society by hyperinflating prices. It's tragic, really. But I think he's just a puppet of the banking system. The banksters, they don't care. Remember, banksters, they have no affinity towards the US dollar, the Canadian dollar, the Japanese yen, the Deutschmark, the Russian ruble. They don't care. Keep in mind, you can make an argument half of the reason why the Soviet Revolution happened was because the Ivanovs would not let the central banks into Russia. So that's the kind of extremes that these central banksters will go to if you don't play ball. Some argue that Mr. Adolf Hitler was actually put into power by the banksters as a way to try and dislodge the Soviets, because the whole Soviet experiment completely backfired on the banksters. And then, what a surprise! Hitler completely backfired on the banksters. Banksters aren't really that smart, which is ironic. Of course, I've just slip that noose around your neck. Get it nice and tight there, Brian. But anyway, if you don't believe me, Mr. Friedman, who I think is absolute authority in this space, just go watch his video. Ironically enough, when Nixon pulled his little fast one, creating the quote unquote petro currency system, and that's what the whole start of this is, right? The whole start of this article is what the fuck happened in 1971, right? And it started with Nixon basically taking the Americans off the gold standard. And keep in mind that we were the only ones fighting the Soviets at that point. So if the Americans are going off the gold standard, then that means everybody in the Western world is going off the gold standard. And here comes hyperinflation and the destruction of our collective standard of living. So anyway, but even Mr. Greenspan even said that you do this and it's basically the confiscation of a nation's wealth. So this isn't even my words. Substitute drama teachers can get angry at me, but this is coming from Mr. Greenspan himself. So I don't know if you don't even know who Mr. Greenspan is. Maybe familiarize yourself with him. So, a little bit of talk about why we're in this world. Of course, this world is dominated by these damn banksters, and this goes all the way back to Jesus Christ times, right? So, this is thousands of years old, the way that these banking sort of elites have tried to finesse our society and, of course, basically put us all in financial slavery. It's just so sad. I mean, maybe one day we can break this yoke, but I don't think it's this time. So, anyway, what is the direct evidence of this whole sort of, hyperinflation of our society, the Great Reset? And that is that we actually have ways to see the money printing. And why are we going through the hyperinflationary period right now? Well, if you look at these charts in detail, you can see how they had a sort of somewhat okay slope, and I think the world was okay with that sort of 2% money supply growth. And then all of a sudden, over the past 5 years, that money supply growth has just gone parabolic, and as a result, we have hyperinflation. Of course, you can see it in your housing, great evidence, but you can actually see the effects if you go right across the economy, whether it be things like copper, the professor of economics. Are copper prices really high right now? Or actually, are they really low, implying that actually the economy really isn't really that strong? And then what happens if the economy actually gets strong? What are these copper prices going to do? Get ready, folks. As I showed you, and actually later on in this, if we get through it, I go through every single thing. This stock market, why does this stock market curve look like this? I thought, Mr. Newton said, and I've told you guys before this in these videos, right? What goes up must come down, right? Can't matter is neither created nor destroyed. So how on earth do they get this damn stock market to constantly go higher, 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 higher? Well, they must be doing something, and the something is they're fucking with this thing that these assets are actually priced in. And this is what our coming hyperinflationary great reset world is going to look like. I wouldn't be surprised. And I think I also include here, yep, here is the Newmont as sort of legacy assets. How did they act? Remember I showed you earlier with Effie's inflation conversation. I see it coming. It's coming 100 miles an hour. And again, what the hell does Bitcoin do through this? Get ready, folks. But the worst part about this is it's not really like Bitcoin is like, oh, with 100 bazillion gazillion dollars, I'm richer than everybody. The problem here is that you're going to go to the grocery store and a loaf of bread's going to be like $50, and you're going to be like, what the hell have they done to us? So, have some of your money in Bitcoins. Bitcoin will be like 100, 200, 500,000, maybe $1 million a coin. But all it is, it's not actually going up in value. It's the stupid fiat currencies are collapsing. So that sort of brings us to, and this is like full circle. Why am I so interested in the cycle now? Well, here we are at the bottom, right? Going back to Mr. Benner. 2023, here we are at the bottom of the cycle. And just pure, every single one of you has seen this image before in your life. It's just the funny thing is most people just completely discount this. What you really need to be thinking about here is this is actually what the venture cap part of this cycle looks like. This is, and really you might even argue, like I showed you that XLC, you can kind of see the long-term pivot here in the market, right? And it's a little bit skewed, but the point here is, this is a monthly price chart. 2023, this is supposed to be the time when you were going through this troughing period, whether it be Mr. Benner troughing, or whether it be like I showed you that big that cycle chart, down in here. And we can, if you want, go and look at like the monetary policy system. The irony of it all is that we basically are right on cue for this cycle to pivot somewhere around the middle of the summer. Not now, but the middle of the summer, somewhere in there. Which is interesting because it brings up this image. And the question you have to ask yourself is, where are we on this cleanup schedule? I'm a little concerned, like if you look at Bitcoin, just even right here in the short term, we've come an awful long way very, very quickly. And actually, there was a really cool tweet that I put out. Probably the best place to show you is off of here. Hmm. Well, yeah, I guess this will do. It's fine. Boom. Right. So, a couple things. Number one, of course, there is our weekly double bottom. So you can see clearly where the W's are coming in here. A whole bunch of extra stuff on here. So you can see, remember back here, we are going top end of the range, bottom end of the range. What's going to happen? Well, a big fat W just happened. That's what happened. What's interesting about this image is we can get rid of all this stuff. We just had a big weekly moving average cross here. And this is a moving average system that I developed on my own that really helps me sort of see the longer term trends. You notice when we turned back up here, moving average cross, and we just had just a runaway bull market. And you can see there was a bit of chop in here, a bit of a head fake, both down and up. But you can see when we had a cross here and then a subsequent failure, just that was our last year of train wreck. Is this the kind of environment where we're kind of probably going to go back and forth here? Yeah, the moving average crosses, but a little bit of a head fake. And then also notice too, back over here, same sort of thing. We had moving average cross, but a little bit of a head fake, but then we got going. And then notice, look at this one. When the moving average crossed, it just did not cross back again until we were way over here. So yeah, this system, I mean, and nothing's, bulletproof in this space. But it does serve pretty well. This is definitely a warning sign that, hey, maybe being overtly bullish down at the bottom, or bearish down at the bottom end of the range, maybe that story's a bit old. If anything, kind of like what I said, 14, 12, 16, all that kind of market. Actually, you know what? I think you could probably even make the argument. I'm not quite sure where this is drawn off of. I guess there. You can make the argument we're probably in something like that right now. So top end of the range is this old liquidity pool up top here, 25,000. I got the impression that they were going to go after that high. You can clearly see, boom, boom, boom. That's a 3-bar fractal that's trying to fire here. It has not fired yet. So we could just inside bar here and then fractal up and just keep heading higher. That's definitely possible. But if the 3-bar fractal does fire, it also means that we'd lose this cute little trend line that we have working. Then we're probably going to have to play with those moving averages. And like we said, sometimes in years gone by, yeah, you get a bit of a turn, but then we got to come back down and play. And we're just not quite ready to go. So what I often suggest to people, and the good part about the TRI dashboard is that it just clearly illustrates this. We put together this crypto page, which I think is just freaking awesome. The 6 reading on our weekly commodity trend survey is basically saying that we're at the bottom end of the range and the moving averages have crossed back bullish. And you can see there's a number of names here that are giving 6s. And 6s do not happen that often. Because, of course, as soon as the market starts moving back up, then we'll move closer and closer to that 50% rule. And that will take away that relative attractiveness. And a really good example of this, unfortunately, I can't show it to you. Maybe down the road, we'll keep track of these ratings. But Litecoin, all around sort of the November, December, it was putting in the most beautiful bottom and it was spitting out 6s. But because Litecoin has moved up so much now it has a relative rating of 3 because it's not at the bottom end of the range anymore. And the moving averages they've crossed a long time ago. So just understand that when you see sixes on this weekly commodity trend survey, it means that these names are in a very, very interesting window here. And if you're going to step up and invest, this is actually the time to be paying close attention. What I would suggest with these is that what you really want to do if you want to time these is you wait for the sixes to come in. And as I pointed out on a tweet recently, and I have to say, this was absolutely perfect because this is like my whole career in a nutshell. I mean, I've been working away on this shit for like 30 years, people. And it took forever to sort of figure this stuff out because, of course, nobody teaches you this shit. But I put a tweet out back on February 5th saying cycle similarities around this asset are quite shocking. I mean, it's remarkable how cliche this crypto space is. It's stunningly cliche. If you learn these 4-year cycles and you can't make money trading crypto, there's something seriously wrong with you. And if you could actually put yourself into a position where you can participate and you get your act together like our little old ladies and get your, but look at this, they're kind of slacking off here. What are you guys doing? These lists should be full here. You can see I'm already up to a dozen names I've got in my little old lady stack. What are you guys doing? You're slacking off here. Anyway, and I know for certain, Eddie, I know you're on the call, but I know for certain Eddie's got just an insane amount of crypto. In fact, I think this is Eddie. Eddie, should we show your, do you want me to show your page here or should we just pass on that? All right, he says, sure. Look how many names Eddie's got on the books here. Eddie's going to be so fucking stinking rich by the end of this. It's not even funny. But what you have to do, dude, is you have to make damn sure to take profits into sort of November, December 2025. Okay? Do you hear me? I don't want to hear that you're still long and you're still hodling into 2026. It's over, right? And if you don't listen to me, listen to Mr. Benner, right? If you are still long, like, I don't mind you being long all the free stuff. Who cares about that? If you've sold like 10 doubles and you're sitting on a mountain of Bitcoin or cash off the sidelines and you still have some free crap on the books, that's fine. I don't care about that. But you better make damn sure. And I'm going to be watching you like a hawk. And I want to make sure that you're still around. And all of you people in the public, right? You want to participate in this, you know what this is? This is a guy who's come onto the site and said, I'm going to learn this shit and I'm going to get really good at this. This is a guy who's put time and effort into his education. Eddie, did you know anything about any of this kind of stuff before you came to TRI? Would you have been able to put together these kind of spreadsheets? I mean, if you got a microphone, just give me some verbal confirmation. I think he wanted to, but I don't think he had the skill set to be able to actually do this. And he says very limited. All right. So maybe we just need Eddie to fill out his list a little bit more, please. Anyway, as you can see, and somebody had asked me the other day, well, Brian, you keep talking about how you're going to do another one of these 500 into 500,000. Well, actually, this go round, we funded the account with $10,000. And I'm instead of, in 2014, I had $500 and I was buying, 5% stakes, which meant like $25 into a name. And then, of course, selling houses on doubles and then reinvesting at reload zones, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now we started with 10 G's. So where do you think this portfolio is going to be in November, December 2025 if we just do exactly the same thing we did before? I can tell you, we're going to be talking some absolutely insane numbers. And the good part about it is Fjord actually is also doing it at the same time. Like this one here, I can't buy on centralized exchanges. This one I can't buy on centralized exchanges. So these ones actually, Fjord is also doing a TRI, decentral portfolio. So I don't have those names on here, but I could include them in here as well. But you can see even Fjord's rocking and rolling. And man, some of his names just look absolutely beautiful here. So, all those people that actually played Luna, I actually think that Mr. Kwan's going to come out in 2025, 2026, and you're going to be right back into that lunatic kind of talk. All of his cult followers are going to think he walks on water, because you can see that something like AKT is totally going to save his ass. I mean, you just look at the chart. You can, and Sjord was telling us, of course, if I can find the damn charts, Sjord was telling us that this AKT now actually has the ability, wherever the hell the damn chart is. I guess we can go here. AKT has the ability now to actually generate revenue for Luna and all of them and all that. And look at what that son of a gun's doing. Look at that. Holy crap. Now, as I had said earlier, right, if AKT happened to be on our weekly commodity trend survey and all that, right, you can see we're at the bottom end of the range. Moving averages just crossed bullish. So can you understand the logic of why something like this would get a 6? Does that make sense? It's the same logic as why Bitcoin gets a 6, right? And where's that tweet that I just was trying to show you, but I got derailed because, shiny object. I think I said right here, right? There are the 6s. Bitcoin, Ethereum, bottom end of the range. Moving averages just turned back up, bullish. So hopefully you can see that this crap's happening all over the place. I mean, this is 23. This is exactly when this stuff's supposed to happen. So it's not really rocket science. But what I wanted to say with regard to this, and this is why I think it's really, really dangerous to chase. Because what usually happens here, and this is the tweet that I tried to get talking about, but unfortunately I got derailed. But she's cheap. That's one of the key components that we're not allowed to chase, right? We got to come in and buy down markets. Institutions buy down markets. Public buys up markets. Institutions make money at this game of investing. Public loses money at this game of investing. Learn this. Will you ever retire, Brian? Well, my 3, David, my 3 affirmations. Let's see. Actually, this would be a good experiment. Let's see if you guys, there's 60 people watching this video. What are my 3 affirmations? As soon as I have my 3 affirmations, then I'm done. I've done everything that Jojo asked me to do. Keep in mind, I used to tell people that it didn't matter whether I was a broker, because I used to sit and talk on the phone for hours on end as broker. I mean, hours and hours and hours on end. Then I actually moved home to look after my wife when she was ill. And unfortunately, we all know how that ended. God rest her soul, Jojo. Did it completely failed at that. So I am indebted to Spirit, and I am indebted to her to make sure that her investment in me for 18 years actually means something, because she believed in me. Unfortunately, mental illness, it's horrible. What's worse is when the doctor says, well, we'd admit you to the hospital, but we have to catch you in the act of committing suicide. How did that go? So really, since that event, I've just really been Spirit's agent. And I've asked Spirit specifically for 3 things. And the good part about it is number 2 is what I'm doing right now. I mean, just give me some feedback here. I mean, there's only one person that was able to answer that. And thank you, Do Nervest. You remember. I mean, I would like to be able to give my son private care. But his annual bill is like, he literally has to have full-time care workers with him. I mean, it's easy. And now in fucking substitute drama teachers world, you can't even get doctors in this goddamn world in Canada. It's such a disaster what these stupid fucking communists are doing to our country. So number one was I want Liam and I to be living together again. So David, if you know how way that I can expedite that, then no, this is the Canadian system. Canadian system says we will give you, Liam is a Canadian citizen, so he has full right. And of course, he is deemed special needs. So he's totally entitled to all the health care and rock on for that. But at the same time, too, they say, well, he has to live in state facility. And I have to play this stupid dancing game with government bureaucrats who, for some reason, seem to think they know better than the child's own parent, which, is pretty frustrating unto itself. So, kind of off on a tangent here. So number one is I want to somehow get Liam and I living together again. Now, the good part about it is I save a lot of money, haven't spent much money. I live a very, very frugal life, and I'll just keep saving and saving and saving until I can go and buy a house for him. The house prices went absolutely through the roof when these stupid fucking central planners completely fucked up our money system. Thank you, Jerry Powell. And really the sad part about it is all Jerry Powell is a puppet of the Rothschilds. So thank you. Anytime you hear any talk about inflation, you hear any talk about, oh, well, it turns out, this is just the United States. This is just this region of the world. This is, it's because somebody's invading another country in Eastern Europe. Don't kid yourself. The whole reason why we're going through this is this one line and this one line only right here. Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who writes the laws. And, you could even argue that, that guy who's running the United States of America right now, I mean, that guy's, I don't know what the hell. I mean, he should be in a fucking old folks home. At least, like Trump or not, I mean, at least Trump had balls and he at least stand up to these guys. But the guy, and, basically over the past 2.5 years, my God, they have just completely destroyed the value of money. Now, these guys have gotten what they've wanted. This is basically Klaus, same people, exactly the same damn thing. They've gotten exactly what they want. Now, what they really want is they want to put the fossil fuel industry out of business, which makes no sense whatsoever. Because still more than 80, I was seeing an article the other day in like 2003 or whatever, when the Americans went into Iraq, like 85% of our economy was dependent on fossil fuels to one degree or another. 85%. You go, okay, I can understand there's no way we can get out of this fossil fuel business, this economy, when 85% of our economy is dependent on fossil fuels. You want to know what that number is today? 85%. It hasn't changed one frickin' bit. So what the hell is going on? And you know what pisses me off is somebody actually asked that little cosmetic puppet of the 1%. What's her name? Greta Thorn something. Why aren't you ever upset at Russia? Why aren't you ever upset at OPEC? Why aren't you ever upset at Indonesia? Indonesia is one of the largest suppliers of crude oil to the world. Why aren't you ever saying anything about them? and she could not respond. She just literally could not respond. So clearly there's something screwy going on with all of this. And then, the last part about this is the bankster's bankster. In Canada, I think this guy was sort of deemed, oh my God, this guy's like super sexy. He will be our poster child. The old Bank of Canada governor, can't remember what his name is, something dickhead. Anyway, he actually let it slip that really the bankster's plan is to force the world off of fossil fuels. And now, they're even talking about outlawing gas stoves. You're not allowed to have a gas stove now. Oh, because it's bad for the environment. And oh yeah, we've done a whole bunch of health studies that prove gas stoves are really bad for your health. So let's throw that in. And hey, if they bought the vaccine crap, well then they'll buy this crap too, right? Whatever. I'm still getting over the fact that I can't lift my arm over the top of my head, and the doctors can't explain why. Ooh, no, it has nothing to do with foreign bodies injected into my body, does it? And the funny thing is, they won't even entertain the conversation. Anyway, so Mr. Canadian bankster clown goes, well, we plan on investing $100 trillion. Can anybody imagine what that even looks like? In the movement of our society away from fossil fuels. Remember, 85% of our society right now is still entirely dependent on fossil fuel industry. So clearly something screwy is going on here. It's really sad, to be honest with you. Anyway, by the way, at 5 to 10% interest, $100 trillion generates $5 to $10 trillion in income on all of that lending. Is that maybe something along these lines? Keep in mind, these people are banksters. That's the way they make their money. Anyway, wow, got off on a tangent there. Sorry, everybody. What was the question again? Oh, yeah. So what's Brian's affirmations, right? So Brian's affirmations are, number one, got to get Liam out of the state system, buy him a house. I don't know how long that's going to take. I've been saving up my money for basically the past 4 or 5 years, like a dog. And, I have to be very thankful that Spirit connected me with all of the people in my life. I have to be very thankful. Julian has been with me since 2014, and I've never had a case of having to worry about him like stealing any money from TRI or embezzling or anything like that. I mean, he has done everything that he said he's gonna do, and I'm, like I said, I got $500,000 in the bank, so I must be doing something right. Got to be thankful for people like Stuart coming into my life. And the funny thing is if I could just get convince Stuart to take profits at the top, TRI was sitting on well over $1 million in that Luna story, and it's gone. Oops. I don't really mind that so much because Stuart had to go through that learning experience. He had to understand, how venture cap acts. He's a relatively young guy. So now the next time somebody comes along and says, hey, we're all lunatics. When it doubles, don't sell half, buy more. He'll go, oh, Jesus, here we go again. I think Stuart's learned the lesson. But, what I really like is we have a great group of people that are very actually committed, like I showed you. We've got Eddie. And I would like to think of Eddie as sort of our quarterback for the LOL cycle coming up. And I would like to, we've got a few people that are like, yeah, I want to participate in this and let's do this. I don't see a lot of activity here, so I'm a little concerned. Having said that, we're just at the very beginning of this cycle. And, to be honest with you, by time 2024 rolls around, I don't think I'm going to match Eddie. I mean, Eddie owns everything already. So way to go, dude. That's fucking awesome. But this list is going to be completely filled out, and I'm going to be ready to rock and roll, and we'll just do it all over again. And really, my plan here is I want to take millions out of this market. Like I said, 500 into 500,000, doable, man. It's not unrealistic. You have to play the game correctly. Now, what's really cool about this, right, is basically I've laid out the reasons, why I think and how this rally happens, and all of the statistics. Now the question ultimately is okay, how are you going to do this? And the answer, of course, is we're calling it the Little Old Lady Canasta Club. And in essence, I like the idea of diversifying amongst different sectors of the crypto space. So, here is an example of one way you can diversify. Just some names we're starting to build out now. What's really cool is somebody actually asked me, Brian, do you think you could put together like not the in-depth education program that we have at TRI? Because keep in mind, our education program is like second to none. I've never seen anybody else online teach as much material and as a coordinated effort as we do. I mean, we cover a lot of stuff. And one of the traps in my career has always been I wanted to do everything. This is specifically about the little old lady approach to investing and how can you do 500 into like 500,000 kind of idea. And somebody asked me, is there any way, Brian, we could do like an automated program just for people that would like to participate in this? And this is sort of a project I've been working on. And that is, I'm actually building out that automated course that we'll do on Udemy, and maybe we'll charge like $500 or something like that. And this should give you the ability from going from absolutely nothing to having a full-fledged plan. In essence, this is the Little Old Lady education program that I'm putting together. So this I have a feeling that this is what's supposed to happen here. And everything from how do you build your journal, what are the steps involved in building out your journal, how do you build out your plan, what are the components that are needed, how do you build out a tracking service. I mean, like I said, we got to get you to the point where you can actually do something like Eddie has done here. I mean, just insane. But this is like running. You're not going to be able to do this right out of the gate. You can walk, that's fine. And usually it goes, you want to crawl, then you want to walk, then you want to run. Eddie's running. So just to get you going, it's just going to be something really simple, include things like demon finders, help you to try and sort of manage yourself. And this should be an entirely automated education program that we put up on like a Udemy platform, which the end result of all of this is what I would like to see happen. And this is sort of the end of this, is that we transition into the Little Old Lady Canasta Club. And if you'd like to participate in real time with other people who are doing exactly the same thing as Eddie, and you've taken the education program and you don't, I mean, there's people that want to learn about GAN. And, if you really want to be a market technician, if you want to be a futures trader and stuff, you got to learn about GAN. You have to learn about horizontal support and resistance. You have to learn about moving averages. You have to learn about gaps. You have to learn about the various different candlestick patterns. You have to learn about what market structure looks like. But if you're a little old lady, you don't really have to do all of that. So if anything, this program speaks to that audience that are just like, Brian, all I want to do is I just want to buy at the bottom end of the range. I want to sell halves on doubles. I want to reload when it comes down into reload zones. I want to build my car carrier of cars. And of course, I want to turn 500 into 500,000 through these cycles. How do I do that? That's what all of this is about. So I'm working away on this, and I really like how this is all coming together. So where am I going with this? This actually, I think, speaks to not affirmation number one. Affirmation number one, like I said, is Brian's got to save up enough money just to buy a house here locally in Canada for Liam so that he's well taken care of and he lives in a private residence and no more government bullshit. Keep in mind, we're pretty lucky that we have any government bullshit at all. If we were living down in the United States, they would say there is nothing available for him, so fuck off. So, if anything, we got to be happy that we have the government bullshit that we have anyway here for him. But it's high time that we move on to the next stage. So, my personal savings and all that, I think it makes sense that that should sort of speak to my personal life with Liam. Affirmation number two, and maybe you guys can give me some feedback on this. And this goes to JoJo and her specific request of me, she's just about 10 years ago now. Can I be that guiding light for all of you people? And I mean, now we got 70 people watching. Tell me, am I doing my job? Am I helping you people? Because if I'm not, then I should just shut the fuck up and go away. I'd like to think that I am making a positive difference in this world. I really would. Problem is that there's no roadmap. You know, there is no roadmap. And it seems like our society at every turn is trying to dissuade me. You know, like I used to have the guys at the prop firm, when I said what I was going to do, they all told me I was crazy. You're wasting your time. Just get back into the pits and make a whole shitload of money for us because you're trading our money. And quit with this fucking Jesus complex that you have, or I don't know, save the world complex. I told you I'm doing what you asked. Kind of sucks because I don't really hear too much from JoJo anymore. It breaks my heart. I think she's basically on to the next life now, so I hope she's having a good life wherever she is. She's probably like a shrimp down at the bottom of the ocean, just hanging out by some warm sulfur pool or something down there, hanging out, not having to deal with these silly humans. So that's affirmation number two. Can I make a positive difference in this world? You know, like probably a lot of people see, on almost every single tweet, I always put out PMA for the win, where I honestly believe that you can break free of this insane world model that we live in. And every 4 damn years, it seems to happen. You know? Are you ready? Are you willing? Are you able? Can you get your shit together? Unfortunately, I can't. You know, as the saying goes, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make it eat peanut butter. But I hope with my just sort of relentless message of PMA for the win, somebody's like, what's PMA? PMA stands for positive mental attitude, where, you know, if we work together, if we don't try and take advantage of each other, I mean, that's the worst part about this damn world, is that we humans are actually pitted against each other constantly. But if we instead said, you know, don't worry too much about the money, but let's try and just make a positive difference in each other's lives, can you make a difference? I think that's basically how I've lived my life since just about exactly 10 years. Since I believe my wife came to me in the afterlife and said, Brian, the reason why I know that this was real and it wasn't sort of just a fantasy of mine is that she said specifically, Brian, you have the opportunity to make a positive difference in this world. She didn't say you will. She said you had the opportunity. So they knew that at any given point in time, this always comes down to choice. And if you and if anything, that's the beautiful part about this human existence. And I think that's the big part about life, is that you always have a choice. And if anything, I think spirit gets really upset when humans are not given the choice, like what Vladdy's doing in Eastern Europe. I don't think spirit likes that. And frankly speaking, I think he's going to fail. But there wasn't like I was told you will do this. It was always, you have an opportunity. It's up to you, Brian. So here I am. I just try. That's all I'm doing. Just trying. But she also said, and this is where I know it's for real. She said, but Brian, you have to learn how to listen. And I'll tell you, it's been tough. It has not been easy. And I even remember when I first came into the crypto space, I kind of, sort of a little bit of a know-it-all, kind of would overtalk other people and stuff. So it's been very difficult for me to learn how to listen, but I've actually tried to eat a lot of humble pie over the past few years. And that's why I don't walk away from anyone in this space until they actually walk away. I always give everybody the benefit of the doubt, 3 strikes and you're out. And so I don't burn bridges. I just say, well, this has got to be part of God's plan. I don't know what the plan is. I'm not going to go and like walk away from somebody. I get angry and I get frustrated, but I don't like sort of burn bridges, just because I know everybody's got a role to play in all this. And spirit's got some sort of plan. So that's affirmation number 2. Can I just keep doing what I'm doing, being positive mental attitude, just trying to be a beacon of light? And, got to give a big thank you to YouTube. Without this service, it would be very difficult to get this message out to the world. As I said, I'm super excited. The Coinergy people have reached back out and they'd like to try and get those shows up and going again, and maybe update some of those tutorials that we've done on their site, because they got tons and tons of hits. So super excited to get that going again. Surrounded by just a beautiful audience. I love waking up in the morning and just seeing all these people. I regrettably have screwed up a few relationships along the way. But all I can say is I'm just trying my best. My apologies to, there are a few people specifically that I'm thinking about. If there's anything I can do to rectify the relationship, let me know. But I end up saying and doing stupid things. And then affirmation number 3. And this is where it's a little bit of greed on my part. Is I would like to see TRI be sustainable over time. And I've seen too often that these sort of online newsletter kind of entities, they come and they go. So my sort of dream, the next logical step, is to somehow create some sort of physical entity, some sort of physical campus, where, for lack of a better word, if I see people that are shit on by our society, I can just say, hey, go to the campus. We got lots of beds there. Just crash, deprogram, enjoy some of Chris's crops, all that kind of fun stuff for a little while. Learn how to play this game called investing. And within a few years, you'll be back up on your feet and, talking about driving Lambos and all that kind of crap. So my third affirmation is I want to see TRI campus come into reality. I was feeling very optimistic. Went to Portugal, saw one property in particular that would fit all of our needs. Just didn't quite have enough money personally to pull it off. So anyway, that's the way it goes. Um, but actually, I think with the combination of this plan, not only like funneling any kind of proceeds that we can generate through this automated education program, but also if somebody does take the program and they'd like to participate in a community, then basically, joining the Canasta Club as a sort of a way to embed yourself into a community of other people doing exactly the same plan. And the great part about it, and this is one thing I absolutely love about TRI, is what's ending up happening is I'm actually building traders that are way better traders than I am. I mean, you look at those Wednesday shows with that Paul guy, and it's a little bit dangerous what we're doing. Paul, I think, is a better trader than I am. But unfortunately, I think what's happening is basically people are saying, why bother join Brian at TRI? I'll just go and join Paul. And I don't know whether that's constructive or not for this overall plan or not. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. Only time will tell. I just, keep a positive attitude about all this stuff. So the people that we have trained, I mean, the good part about it is it's not really like it's some sort of secret that Brian has. It's just I seem to be able to articulate this stuff fairly well. So as well too, there has been some demand for an actual sort of live in-person training program for those people that are interested in learning how to day trade, and what are all the requirements around that. So you can't really teach those kind of in-person programs unless you have like a physical location, right? I mean, that just makes sense. So I think there is demand for this. I just, unfortunately, it's a question of funding. So wasn't quite ready last fall to pull the trigger. It's interesting. Properties are available that I think would foot the bill. It's just really a question of, do you have the capital? And unfortunately, with me, I'm sort of torn because I have this beautiful soul that I brought into this world that I am directly responsible for. He has about a good $50,000 to $100,000 a year nut that needs to be paid. Right, there is no sort of negotiating with special needs. So I've got sort of a tug of war going on, and then in an interesting sort of twist of fate, but I think this is meant to be. I've got a buddy of mine who lives over in Hawaii who's constantly looking for real estate deals because he would still prefer that we set up the campus in Hawaii. And he might actually undermine all of you European lobbyists. And the good part about it, again, is that this gentleman is our level 3 options instructor, and he has turned into an absolute options whiz. I mean, absolute whiz. I mean, it's beautiful to watch him in action. Um, and our plan is, if we do a real estate deal in Hawaii, well, we're going to teach the program in person on his options spread trading, which is just, oh my God, it is absolutely incredible. And so, as I was telling somebody the other day, got a bunch of irons in the fire. I'm working. I'm trying as hard as I possibly can. Got to keep a level head through all of this, and then of course we got substitute drama teachers that are trying desperately to undermine me every step of the way. But I as long as I keep a good heart, you all know my 3 affirmations. There's no bullshitting with me. I'm an open book. Unfortunately, that sometimes is to a detriment. But you all know what my goals are. And once we get the physical property, once we get the physical location, then I will probably just transition into living off of those locations, hopefully with Liam by my side, but we'll see how that goes. Maybe he might just stay here in Canada in the privately owned home while I'm jumping around the world. Um, and I'm just going to keep working. That's all I can do. Just keep working towards those three affirmations. But you all know them. I have my heart set on them. That is the plan going forward. So anyway, yeah, I know, but I had to get all that out. I'm sorry. All right, so probably a perfect segue. Let's put all this conversation away. Although Eddie, you're killing it. Nice job. And as I said, somebody had asked me on the site, Brian, are you starting? I'm like, yeah, I'm already a dozen names in. And actually, that's not even all of them, because like I said, Mr. Pennicook, who's over there in the lounge right now, hopefully he's feeling better. Mr. Pennicook got totally beat up there with a recent sickness. He's been in bed for like a week or something. So hopefully, actually, Mr. Panic probably looks like his picture does. Anyway, there's Brian. This was us at our French lady's place too, and she even had a picture of a chicken on her kitchen hutch, and I thought that was appropriate. So there's Brian. Anyway, so we are well underway. The plan is already. You want to know his name, do you? Maybe come on the site and learn. No, his name's Zach. And I love Zach. Zach's fucking awesome. Zach is he's just like a lot of you TRIers. You have beautiful hearts. And I end up, oops, damn it, I shouldn't have closed that. That was stupid. I end up screwing up a lot of relationships in my life because you people are so beautiful. So thank you for all for being in my life. All right, let's get on to work. Enough of this bullshit, Brian. I want to know what the fuck is the answer to my question. Damn it. All right, let's see. Where are we here? Is it the 20? No, where are we here? It's like February now, right? Jesus, look at that. Actually, I was really impressed. This gentleman here he asked a lot of questions. People got kind of pissed off, but I asked him, did this help? And he actually responded pretty impressively. That's quite an answer. But look at this. I can't tell you how blessed I feel to have found you. That's JoJo. So, Lucas, don't thank me. Thank JoJo. JoJo's the one who put all this together. Love you, sweetie. Sure miss you. All right. I think we answered these on the Monday show. All right, here we are. Is it the 12th now? Is that where we are? Aha, it is. All right, so a few questions. Hopefully I can get through this fairly quickly. Mainstream short answer, please. Brian, you talk way fucking too much. Can you explain what exactly a head and shoulders pattern is very simply? Sorry, didn't see this in time. We'll answer in tomorrow's daily brief. Well, that's what I probably said. Well, really the easiest way for you to think of a head and shoulders pattern is to think of nature. So, let's see if I can spell. What does a maple leaf look like? So, of course, you type in maple leaf and these completely corrupted internet that we live in, and you get shilled some stupid food company. Bullshit. I asked just maple leaf. I didn't ask to be shilled some stupid product or service. But what you notice, and actually this is probably the best one right here, is you notice that this is sort of the way nature works. It works in this is it's also called a fractal. And if you really, really want to blow your mind, what you'll see is if you actually zoom in on this left-hand part of the maple leaf right here, you'll see that, wow, there's a little fractal right there. And you zoom in on the head and you notice that, wow, that's a fractal right there. And then you zoom in on this part of the right-hand side of the maple leaf, well, that's a fractal there. And then if we zoomed in even further, right, and you really zoomed in on all of these peaks, they are also fractals. And really what this actually is this is the way the universe is built. And of course, you can go into the library. We've got tons of resources on this. It is part of the level 1 education program when we get into candlestick patterns. What does change look like in our universe? That's what all of this is about, is how does an asset go from moving up to moving down? You could argue, just using this maple leaf as an example, assets moving up to, oh, my assets now moving down. How does that transition look? So the easiest way for you to think about what a head and shoulders pattern is, and really, I mean, you can use any asset, is what does an asset transitioning from a bull market to a bear market and vice versa, what does it look like? So you could even just randomly pick a spot here. You could say that the maple leaf sort of higher highs and higher lows. Then we stop making higher highs. We actually make lower highs and lower lows. I mean, this isn't the best example. I could probably do it something like that if you wanted to. But there's a head and shoulders. That is your maple leaf pattern. What is a market? You can see that this market is just trending higher, higher highs and higher lows. I'm a bull. Then something happened and we transitioned. Now I'm making lower highs and lower lows. And the head and shoulders pattern is that transitionary process. It's just that simple. I hope you guys understand that. I don't know who answered this question or asked this question. You didn't put your name there. But can you let me know whether you understand what I just said there? Because it's just that simple. What you're really looking for when you're thinking head and shoulders is think the maple leaf. It's just that simple. Now, you can take this one step further, right? The classic fractal pattern should actually be 5 bars. And so here's probably a really good one, right? Where this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're done. But the head and shoulders pattern, of course, only has 3 points. 1, 2, 3. So, if I just take this head and shoulders away from here, boom, there we go. You can see that. Now, would it be beneficial if maybe TradingView had like a 5-bar head and shoulders pattern? It would probably be, it wouldn't be good to label it head and shoulders. It would be good to label it fractal, 5-bar fractal. But in essence, it's the same logic. So you could make the argument that, looking at this image, that, maybe this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. And this whole pattern is that 5-bar fractal. So sometimes in technical analysis, sort of, teaching, for lack of a better term, whoever's teaching you, some people will say, well, the fractal has to be a 5-bar to be confirmed. Yeah, that's true. But to all intents and purposes, the head and shoulders pattern is that fractal pattern. It's just using 3 points. And I think this works perfectly fine. So I don't know whether that helps you, but that would be my very candid answer. And hopefully that's short and to the point. So whoever asked this question, if you could just put in here somewhere, yes, that answered it, Brian, you're awesome. Or no, it didn't answer it, you're a loser. But hopefully you say I'm awesome. All right, number 2. Hey, Brian, you mentioned that Bitcoin might be a hedge against inflation. Yeah, slightly. Created by people in the know. But I was watching Money Masters, and in there it was said that the reason for so many depression in America was that the currency was forced to be pegged by gold, which is scarce and therefore easy to control, unlike the colonial script or Lincoln's green bags. Yeah, I mean, here's the problem. And my old man, he used to always say this. What we need as a society is a benevolent dictator. The only problem is have you ever heard of a dictator who is benevolent? It doesn't exist. It's almost like an oxymoron, because once somebody actually becomes a dictator, then they're, number one, they're always worried about becoming undictator, kind of like what you saw happen to Trump. I don't think Trump believed that he was going to lose that election. And if you look at the way his Secretary of State acted just before the whole January 6th bullshit stuff happened, he was acting like, no, we're not going out of power. There's no way in hell that's going to happen. And sure enough, you saw what happened. So is there a way to create a leader that is actually working in society's best interests? And that's sort of like under Lincoln's green bags, the green backed bill. Theoretically, a government doesn't need a central bank. Just doesn't need it. The government itself can issue the currency. But look at what fucking Biden's done here. Look at what stupid substitute drama teachers have done here. When they get given the green light, oh my God, the spending is just ridiculous. So, again, it's who do you get angry at? Do you get angry at the Rothschilds, or do you get angry at the stupid humans? Because it's us humans that end up undermining us. I mean, I showed you lost another loan to Ditech. Well, there were like years and years and years. I mean, it went on for quite a long period of time, where it was like, well, it's not a question of do I own my own home, it's how many homes do I own. And as long as the trend in interest rates was heading lower, the stupid humans just went out and borrowed more and more and more. And, if you step back and say, is this really in your best interest to go and borrow like jumbo balloon mortgages and stuff? Any common sense, they go, oh, no, but the wife wants a 6-seater hot tub in the bathroom. So we got to get a bigger house, right? I mean, as humans, we want the bling. And I mean, you see it all over society. The sad thing is we go from this fear versus greed. And either we're extremely fearful and we're rats and we scurry into our holes and we, don't touch my stuff. Or if it's perceived like it's good times, we get greedy and we want the Cadillac Escalades and we want the Lambos and we want the chicks with the fake boobs, or the chicks with the who are rich. They want the little Playboy bimbo boyfriends, or whatever. It's just, it goes back and forth. Fear versus greed. And it's really a fault of the humans. Every once in a while you get sort of the voice of reason, but usually they get squashed. And the problem is that the banksters know that this is how human sort of behavior goes, and they have the patience of Job. They've got like century long time horizons, so they can ride out. And as the humans during greed cycles get greedier and greedier and greedier, I mean, you all involved in the crypto space, uh, you all saw how utterly and completely arrogant that Sam Bankman Fried guy got. Was there any justification for that? Was it actually real wealth that he was building, or it was just asset prices just got bid up because of an orgy of the public buying? Because the Fed basically made money cheap, and stimmy checks, and the money just poured right into that crypto space. If anything, what you saw, like Sam Bankman Fried, is exactly the anecdote of the faults of human beings. So, whose fault is it? Is it the banksters' fault for facilitating this and taking advantage of us stupid humans? Or is it the humans who borrow too much money? Like I live a life neither the debtor nor a lender be. I live that life. I will not live in debt. No fucking way. So that's why I don't want to go to the banksters to get a mortgage to buy a house for Liam, because that's basically financial slavery. They bid these assets up, hyperinflate them to lock you into like a lifetime of financial slavery to them. And I don't want to participate in their slavery. Thank you. So if I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to buy it with cash. And the funny thing is even then you're locked into slavery because they bid these prices of these assets up. And oh, by the way, there's property taxes on all of these. And it's incredible to listen. Everybody's chummy here in Canada. Oh, social system, we love you. Oh, you're so awesome. But when it comes to tax time and property assessment time, pay your fucking taxes now or you're going straight to jail. I mean, it's remarkable how quickly the attitude changes. It's shocking. And every year you hear it. Oh, it's property assessment time. So, people who live in a house in Vancouver who bought it a while ago and, oh, look, I'm doing so great. The property values are going up. Every bloody year, their tax bill for property taxes goes up and up and up and up and up. And it's to the point now where you can't, like somebody who actually bought a house 50 years ago, worked their asses off, was going to collect a government pension in retirement. They paid the house off. They can't afford to live in their houses because the property taxes are as much on an annual basis as what they bought the damn house for 50 years ago. I mean, it's all just the incredible scam. So, there you are. Is there any way out of this mess? I would agree with you. If we are on a gold standard, then you could make the argument that we run out of gold. There's a limit to the economic expansion, right? Because in essence, if you're on a gold standard, the currency outstanding should be exchangeable for gold. So in essence, you're just basically using gold. And interestingly enough, one of the reasons why they say that the United States did as well as it did through the 19th and 20th centuries was because of all the gold that was discovered, and especially in like California. Why did that economy explode? Well, a whole bunch of new gold was added to the equation. So you had a big inflationary push. And actually, it's interesting in the Money Masters, they talk a bit about that. So I'm not necessarily saying there is a right or wrong. What I'm really saying here is we human beings are flawed. We're massively, majorly flawed. It's tragic. And sadly, I think that basically the banksters know about this flaw. They understand the flaw. And of course, they build their whole business model around it. So, as you say here, please read the rest of the damn question and finish the rest of the question. My question is, wouldn't it then be easy to control Bitcoin as well, since it is even more scarce than gold? I don't think it's a question of controlling Bitcoin, but could you use Bitcoin in a basket of assets to underwrite, I guess is the best way to describe it, the value of the fiat currency system. Yeah, I definitely think we're going that direction. I think, the thing that's giving Bitcoin value is the cost of production and the fact that we have the halvening event. There's so many people that are involved in the business of Bitcoin now, and there's enough sort of economic interest to uh, prevent the banksters from coming along and killing Bitcoin. Um, that I believe that it could very easily become like, what they're trying to move towards, I think, if I understand correctly, is this the IMF will have like a basket of assets that they sort of set the value of this sort of world currency unit at. And could you have Bitcoin as part of that basket of assets to give value to that international currency? Yes, I could definitely see something like that happen down the road. Could you argue in the short term if the debt situation, keep in mind, we're living in this debt obligation backed fiat currency system world right now. So as long as the US taxpayer is willing to add more debt to their, financial slavery, mortgaging your future, as long as the US citizens are, yeah, we're okay with that, i.e., keep increasing the debt ceiling, then I think the US Federal Reserve and basically the world hegemony system will continue down that road. But, Powell himself, Granny, current Treasury Secretary, they've all explicitly said that the path that we're heading down right now is unsustainable. That means at some point this model will break. And I'm worried that 2027, 2028 is that breaking event. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see gold zoom higher, we see Bitcoin zoom higher. Keep in mind 46, 47, 48 is when they introduced Bretton Woods, which is sort of their equivalent of a great reset. And my feeling is that we're probably going to have something like that similar situation happen again, where all the powers get together and say, okay, the hyperinflation's gotten out of control, we have to create some, I get a feeling that the US citizen's going to say, enough is enough. And especially if Mr. Trump gets reelected here in 24, there is actually historical stuff that they found that actually says that Trump is supposed to be the last US president. We'll see what happens, but it wouldn't surprise me if this democracy that we live in, this model that we live in since the end of the Second World War, I wouldn't be surprised if that model its days are numbered. So what gives Bitcoin value? Bitcoin's value is derived because of this POW concept, proof of work. The work itself has value. And I think there's enough people in the world that value that indisputable ledger, third-party verification. The blockchain is that ledger of asset ownership that's not controlled by a government. I think there's enough people that have a vested interest in that even the US Federal Reserve and the banksters, I don't think that they have the power to break that, believe it or not. And in fact, there was a lady, Caitlin, I can't remember, I think Caitlin Longer, anyway, about 2 or 3 months ago, she had a really cool interview with this, social media guy. And she's actually on the forefront of converting the banking system to using Bitcoin for settlement purposes. And she even said that there's a lot of places in the world that are using Bitcoin even now as that fiat currency system, transaction vehicle. It's already happening as we speak. And she was saying that the Lightning Network should basically ensure that Bitcoin will become the international settlement vehicle. And it makes sense because our whole world is going digital. The internet is taking over. It's not really a question of if, it's really just more a question of when. And I think that the 1% is bought into this idea that Bitcoin basically is internet money. And of course, you have layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. So the further we go, the more entrenched things like Bitcoin and Ethereum become as the ground layer. And then now there's tons and tons of layers that are built on top of those foundation stones. So, as more time goes by, this is becoming more and more and more entrenched in our society. So I don't know whether that helps answer your question. Think about what I said. If I didn't quite hit the nail on the head, write a comment and we'll circle back around tomorrow. Number 3, Nicholas. Hi, Brian. Thank you for your videos as well. You shared a chart in the lounge for nose and it looking good. Yeah, actually, I think I bought some. W in weekly and OBV is good. I checked the FA and the coin is strong and has good fundamentals. Okay, well, that sounds like a rational idea. I always like that. My only concern is that last cycle, the coin did not do much, even though there was weekly W2. Good location and OBV was good. Check the below chart BTC pair. Well, if BTC goes up and NOS goes up at the same rate, then you're going to just see it flatline. What do you think of that when the FA and TA are good in coins, but the price did not do much in the previous cycle? Well, as always here, Nicholas, the most important thing with all of these things is what's the fundamental driver? What's the story? Think of it, like lunatics, right? And all that nonsense. There were, why did Novogratz get so damn bullish on Do Kwon? What was it? What was it? What was the story that got Novogratz all excited? And he's just one investor, but he's a good example where he bought into the Do Kwon story. Why did Danny have such a massive following with Magic Internet Money? What was the story? So, if you want like parabolic price appreciation, there's got to be a story behind it. So I don't know the story behind nulls, but my suggestion is get to know the community. Have they got some sort of fundamental catalyst? And of course, in the investing game, it's always build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a path to your door. You've probably heard that expression before. So the question is, what does nulls do that is different than everybody else, that gives nulls itself some value? Why were the AI coins going crazy here recently? Was it because these coins were so great? And actually, I've heard a lot of people say that cryptocurrency and AI that's like asking how would Coca-Cola affect the construction industry? Doesn't make any sense at all. So why are these things getting bid up? Well, it's more kind of like a circle jerk around this story. This one hasn't really performed that well, but like this ocean, why did that happen? Is it sort of the circle jerk around the AI space? When a lot of crypto sort of quote unquote experts are like, this doesn't make any sense what you're doing here. So why did this? And this rand is a perfect example. Why did this move up? Listen to Sjord's presentation on this rand, and the idea that people actually will be using it. So it makes sense why this thing moved up. So, my number one comment with regard to that nulls is what's the fundamental drivers? And if there aren't any, then, I love the location. Remember most important thing for me is, can I get a risk-free trade-off? Once that happens, I don't give a shit after that. So like this W down here, I'd be buying at 36 cents. So I would just be asking, can I get 72 cents? So 72 cents is right there. Wow, that's not bad. Bang. That's a win. Once I hit this number, it's 100% win for me. Whatever happens after that, I don't care. It's a free asset. And it turns out that, 72 times 2, we got another double off here at 140 or whatever. So now you're saying that your original investment went up 400%, and you're telling me it didn't do anything? Come on. Not quite sure I understand the logic of that argument. Now, versus Bitcoin, did it just flatline? Yeah. So did nulls just move up just because it was a cryptocurrency? And versus Bitcoin, it just kind of, Bitcoin moves up, nulls moved up. Yeah, maybe. The reason why this would dramatically outperform Bitcoin is not so much about the crypto cycle, which I think that that's what this is what the heck are these guys doing? Are they actually, do they have a better mousetrap? I can't answer that question. If anything, what I want from you, Nicholas, is I want you to tell me, what is it? What is it about the null story that people are going to be like, holy crap, I got to get into that thing? Is it because you can use this to do other things on the internet and you'll get paid a fee for that? That's like that rend. Is it, this platform actually spits out other platforms, and those other platforms are doing a bunch of fun stuff. So as a result, if people are buying the other platforms, then by definition, your platform has to go up in value. That's all like these, what do they call them? The tier 1, tier 2 coins, all that kind of talk. I can't answer. Is it like Doge? Alan, of course, wants to use Doge in his great sort of plan to take over the world. So is it part of that? Just the fact that you have that celebrity endorsement, half of the reason why that thing went up was just because of him. Is there some sort of key character around that? So what is the driver? What's the reason why this thing's going to outperform? Now, through these crypto cycles, will, a rising tide lift all boats? I think so. And as I showed you on the chart, hell, you could have got 400% on your money. And, you go to the stock market and say, can you get 400% on your money? They laugh at you. They say, I'll show you 11%, 8% capital gains, 3% dividend. All right, Nicholas asks again, I was wondering what you do with the remaining coins when you get multiple doubles. Like I told you, I don't give a shit after that fact. I just don't care. I did build up a massive war chest of free coins. And then, my business partners said, hey, we want to liquidate this company. So they were just all liquidated. Probably at a fraction of what they probably should have been liquidated at, but that's not my decision. It was a business partner's decision. And so that's the way it goes. If I was running this for myself, I would just keep the coins indefinitely, because you just never know in this space. And Doge, I think, is a perfect example of that. Did anybody know that? In fact, when I first got into Doge, the reason why I like Doge to begin with was, let's see if I even show. It was so long ago. The reason why I got into Doge was because of these people. They were free spirited. It was a lot of fun hanging out with them. Alex Stirk, this guy right here. In fact, he's the guy who's taking the picture in the mirror. Right? He even said, who's that handsome devil in the mirror? That's him. These are the people, the reason why I got into Doge. I can absolutely unequivocally tell you, I would never buy Doge because Alan is buying Doge. But as a result, Doge went absolutely insane. And of course, up top here, I was like, you people are idiots. And of course, I was selling up here. And hindsight 2020, I think I did the right idea, the right decision. But the reason why I got involved in Doge was because of these people, not Alan. So it just goes to show, And that's when it was doing this, right? And we were banging out doubles from like 10 sats to 20 sats, right? Not even thinking about it. But you just never know what's going to happen in this world. You just don't know. So that's why I like to just get the free positions and then just who knows what the hell's going to happen. And don't get into the business of predicting the future, because I can absolutely tell you without a shadow of a doubt, if I had asked these people, was Doge going to do this? I don't think that they would have said yes. They would have probably said, no way, man, we're a free coin. We're not going to be taken over by some fucking monopolistic, egotistical cocksucker. But that's exactly what happened. All right, moving on. For example, when you got 100K range. Now, remember, I said that the goal of that 500,000, the goal of that was to take 100 G's out of the market. So when I hit that level, I took the 100 G's out, and it's still sitting in the bank, that $100,000 as a bit of a trophy. And I like that as a trophy. Whenever I look at that bank account, I see that big $100,000 just sitting there, and it puts a big smile on my face because I said I was going to do it and I did it. Following that, I didn't even really care what happened. And you know, and I hell, on that pump on Doge, I took another 50,000 out of Doge just on that silly pump. So that's just one coin that actually did like half of that performance. Go figure. So I hope that helps. All right, and last question here, and we're coming up on 1 o'clock, so this will work out nicely. I'm in the level 1 course and finding it difficult to identify which strategy best appeals to me as a trader. Absolutely. You know, I've told all of you this repeatedly, so please, whoever asked this question, Christian, listen to me. I was told years and years and years and years and years ago, and I have found this as an absolute undisputable truth. You will never know a job fully until you have actually done the job for at least 1 full year. So if you're telling me that you just joined and you just started the level 1 course, then there's no way that you could have done this job for 1 full year. It's impossible. And keep in mind, we teach you how to do this job correctly. There's a huge difference between doing the job correctly and understanding exactly what it is you're supposed to be doing versus just sitting on some fucking crypto shill site Discord and just, you know, watching these guys, you know, oh, buy this, you'll make $1 million. Well, you're not really learning the job by doing that. You have to learn, how do I plan? Why do I plan? You have to learn, how do I track the data? Why do I track the data? You have to learn, how do I self-regulate myself, right? Demon finders, trading journals. You have to learn not only the tools, you have to learn how to effectively use the tools, and then only after using the tools effectively for probably a good 6, 8, 9, 12 months, are you really going to understand what this job of being a professional trader is all about. That's just brutal reality. I'm sorry, but it's just the way it is. Even little old ladies. And you know, the worst part about Bitcoin is I pleaded with people not to buy up here. I mean, you all know about, or maybe you don't, but I saw 1 or 2 of you mention it. But here, I mean, I got like physically upset, physically angry, physically sick to my stomach when I saw this happen, and people just blindly buying in when that doofus went on Saturday Night Live right here. Those people clearly did not understand what the fuck they were doing, and they didn't understand this job. And sadly, of course, this is the public right here. This is what they do. So I have to teach you to not do this and two, actually start getting interested now that this thing has fallen 70, 80, 90%. And then you have to start, making sure that you sell halves on doubles so you get your original capital back. And, maybe after that, you don't sell another until we go through this parabolic phase. And of course, you're out buying Lambos. You understand how the game works, and you are actually selling into this event, not buying. So this might actually take 4 full years for you to fully appreciate. But I can tell you, every single student of mine that goes through this full cycle, at the end of it, they're like, okay, now I get this shit. So, love you dearly. Welcome to your new world. You have now officially taken the blue pill, or the red pill. I'm not quite sure which one it is. You're now learning how the real world works, that actually it turns out you're just a battery. And if you do what you're told, you're just supposed to make your damn monthly mortgage and interest payments and live your life of slavery and punch the clock and be a good citizen and go watch your football games. In fact, actually, probably the football game's on right now as we speak. Here's Brian trying to teach you guys how to undo all this shit. So right now, you are going through the process of trying to unlearn all the bullshit that was taught to you through your life, and you're trying to learn what the right course is. Now, it's not an accident that I created the education program in 3 separate modules, and each module each course takes 12 weeks plus a good month or so to give you time to study for the final exam to actually prove that yes, you did listen to what it was I was trying to teach you. So that works out to 36 weeks of educational material plus maybe 6 to 8 weeks of exam prep. So that's just about a year. And oh, by the way, the gentleman I was telling you who's an awesome options trader out there in Hawaii, he's actually got a level 4 in the works, which I'm super excited about. And if we're lucky, we can even teach the level 4 in person. No, different Josh. I said Zach, right? Not Josh. Oh, wait a minute. You guys are talking about something else. All right. So right now you're about 4 weeks into this learning process. Do not think that you are a professional trader. You're not even remotely close. You are, you know what you are right here at this point in the level 1 course. Of course, I bark this to you guys. I'm not quite sure why you're not listening, but I'm sure you are, and I don't want to be insulting. You are this guy. No way this guy's running around. He's just not, or she, well, I think it's a he. You are a baby. You are learning right now. And I don't even think you are even at the point of being able to stand up on your own 2 feet until you are very well into level 2. At least at that point, I know you know what trading plans are. You should have a trading plan. You have the basic rudimentary knowledge of what a good trade setup versus a crappy trade setup looks like: location, indicator confirmation, price structure, go. You understand the basics of risk management, and you are slowly building out what are my 3 reasons to justify acting in the marketplace. But that you're not even at this stage until you're sort of halfway through level 2. And ultimately, you're right now here, and I would imagine you're probably a bit frustrated, and that's completely understandable. In this get-rich-quick world, what you want is you want to take a course in 72 hours, that by the end of that 72 hours, you're going to go out and now start banging out fucking Lambos. Shitting diapers, Josh. Diapers. I hope your little one's not wearing pants yet. I don't think he's even wearing pants yet. Like this guy now, he's just at the point of wearing pants. uh, and do know was joking with BB. All right. Anyway, so to answer your question, and I think this is a perfectly valid question. You're probably a little frustrated. You're probably a little bit overwhelmed with all the information that you're getting, and that's understandable. I'm trying to teach you a profession here, though. Please, Christian, understand this. This is not a get rich quick education program. This is a profession. I mean, you see what Paul has done. I mean, just watch those Wednesday shows. He learned the level 1 material and he spent like a year or two just in the site, just slowly learning and trying to reaffirm. He understood, and now the guy's a fucking killer trader. He will make more money than he ever needs for the rest of his life. But he went through the process. Right now, you are in the education process. And what I would suggest to you, Christian, I know you're not going to like this and you don't want to hear this, but what you need to do is go back and reread this document. And really, ultimately, we want, this is probably like, okay, we're level 1. I can at least stand on my own 2 feet. I think I know what's going on. Fucking Rothschilds aren't going to come along and steamroll me anymore. This is, okay, maybe I'm doing a little old lady portfolio. I'm hanging out in the market. Rothschilds aren't fucking me over. I'm saving my money. I got my nut that I have to take care of on a monthly basis. Playing the 4-year crypto cycles. Okay, let's bang out doubles. Let's watch the market move up. Maybe I'm learning day trading strategies and I'm logging and doing 100 paper trades, 2020s if you feel pretty confident, but you got to be fucking bulletproof. Filling out demon finders, doing report cards, the whole damn thing. And then ultimately at the end of that year, I want to see you here. And people who finish the education program, they get to hear. I don't have to worry about them blowing themselves up. They see what they like. They know what it is that gets them to act in the marketplace. Maybe they love volume profile. Maybe they love moving averages. Maybe they love reload zones. Maybe they love gaps. Maybe they love GAN. Maybe they love commitments of traders. Maybe, it goes on and on and on and on and on. But I can't tell you what it is that's going to get you to the point where you're like, yeah, I got my reasons. I'm ready to act. And when I see my reasons, I act. That takes time to get you to this stage. So that is my very candid answer to your question. It's a perfectly good question, perfectly valid. And the answer is, it is going to take time. And I want to see, Christian, if you are serious about this, tell me, have you logged 100 paper trades already? I doubt it. I would be shocked if you said you did. Usually, especially for the level 1ers, you don't even know what a good setup looks like until we're about halfway through the level 1 program. So how can you tell me you've logged 100 setups? I want you to get into the habit of paper trading and logging, but I don't even think until you are heading into the latter part of the level 1 program, you don't even know what a good trade really actually technically looks like. So, Christian, let me know if you could, whether that answers your question. It's probably an answer you didn't really want to hear, but I think it's the God's honest truth. All right. So 5 minutes past the hour. I think that works well. I have to be up at Liam in about half hour, 45 minutes. So that works. PMA for the win. Everybody, if you could, give us nice karmic best wishes for our afternoon. My number one job now is to give a poor underprivileged child, and actually he's an adult now. And probably till the day I die, I'll be considering him my child. But give him absolutely the best possible afternoon I can. So on to my important job for the day. This was my fun job for the day. Anyway, remember what my 3 affirmations are? I'm going to live those for the rest of my life. And actually, I feel pretty darn confident that those 3 affirmations are going to be hit. It's just a question of just slow and steady, just keep focused, keep PMing, keep trying to make a positive difference in your guys' life. Try not to piss off as few people as possible along the way. And of course, try and avoid those concentration camps too. So, anyway, it is what it is. Have yourselves a great day. Thank you for the best wishes for Liam and I. Appreciate it. All the best. Hugs and kisses. And Chris, if you could take us on out of here, I'd love you for it. The only thing left for me to say is bye.